I would really like to talk with you about alcohol and how it can lead to alcoholism without you actually realizing it, because this is what happened to me. A lot of people associate alcoholism with some old guy who's just completely, destructed by years and years and years of alcohol. But reality is that alcoholism can be thriving in a person who is 25. Alcoholism doesn't have an age, but with time it does progress into the kind of alcoholism you associate with alcoholism. And for me, I could see it starting to really materialize in terms of my habits. In Denmark, where I'm from, alcohol is an ingrained part of life. You start drinking, when you're 13, 14, 15, and from there it's the foundation of all parties, all social gatherings, everything. I think it is like this in many Western countries. But the way it went from being something really wonderful, joy, to something that was really dark, happened quite fast and without me even noticing it. It was a scary transition, and really the problem is that your tolerance keeps moving. For me, it went from being in the weekends, sometimes Thursday, but definitely Friday and Saturday. I started to associate alcohol with something that adults do. Like, if I just have a nice bottle of expensive gin or red wine, I would just be sophisticated. That was the story I was telling myself, genuinely. But slowly I started drinking on weekdays. Actually, I would say that I've been drinking on weekdays since I was 25. I had my first 10 months of sobriety back in 2022, and then I relapsed for like a little year, and then I quit again. I've actually had a little bit of a relapse the last 4 or 5 months, but now today I can actually quit it. It's nowhere near the way it was at all. I'm very thankful for that. But the way I went into the darkest hole of alcoholism when it was really, really bad. I mean, I remember the turning point. It was really, really bad. I remember we just got back from Mexico, and this was actually after my 10-month sobriety. I had been in Oaxaca, and that's where they make mezcal, and I had never tried mezcal before. We went to this mezcaleria. We had this tour, and the guy, he was talking about mezcal as if it was medicine. And I had started ayahuasca, so I was all about anything that's, natural and a medicine. Count me down. That day, I had 3 or 4 of these shots, and it was just so delicious.
Yo, and don't get drunk.
Medicina ancestral. And the high, oh my God. I mean, I felt so good. I felt so good. And slowly, as this trip in Mexico continued, I was drinking mezcal again, and suddenly beer, and then wine, and then we got back to Merida, and Amalie, she was in Denmark to pick up Lara, our dog. She was flying back to Madeira, and I was supposed to pick her up, and I had bought one of those bottles of mezcal from that mezcaleria, and I had drank half of it. I was so drunk, but yet I remember thinking that I could definitely pick her up in the airport. My friend, he talked me out of it miraculously. Thank God, because I would have killed myself. And Amalie, she was crying when I told her I'm not coming to pick you up. And this experience, both from me almost, probably, getting myself into some kind of accident, DUI, like going to jail, lose whatever, and then disappointing Amalie by being such a drunk that I can't even go pick her up along with our little toy poodle. I mean, that is just a disgrace. And getting to that point was all the booze leading up to it. I don't think that everybody will become alcoholics. Some people, they have a predisposition for alcohol, others don't. I do believe that we all have our vices, and unfortunately for some of us, alcohol is one of them. But the scary part of this alcohol journey was how it went from being about enjoying life and going out and just having a good time, to suddenly drinking 3 bottles of wine, white wine usually. I love white wine. Every day, starting from, I don't know, 12, 1. It depends. Sometimes it would be from 9 in the morning. Other times it would be at 4, 5. Because I was also working quite a lot. All the videos, most of the videos I've posted to this channel have been under the influence in terms of, well, both filming and editing. So suddenly it got to the point where I couldn't start filming without actually drinking, because I would be kind of hungover. I was a very, very functional alcoholic. But then eventually I started getting these blackouts, to the point where I would wake up and I wouldn't know what I had done, what I had said the night before. And that is the worst feeling, man, because usually I would have said something and done something. I would have picked up a fight with Amalia and told her she doesn't love me. All of that. If you can relate to this feeling, it's the worst feeling. And I'm not just talking about myself here, but also how I would behave towards other people. God, I've been embarrassing. But I kept this going for quite a long time, actually. Those blackouts lasted for, when did I start getting them? Maybe from 2019, and then 2020, and then COVID came, and that's where it really transpired into just very dark alcoholism, until ayahuasca saved me, literally. The point of this video is how you become an alcoholic, and how it becomes really difficult to turn the ship around. Once alcohol becomes everything you know in terms of dealing with life, in terms of enjoying life, in terms of coping with life, it's hard to find something else, a substitute. If that's all you know, how do you change that? Because alcohol for me was everything I knew up until just 3 years, 4 years now. Don't tell me I can have fun without drinking. I would literally throw people under the bus if they were not drinking. They were like, that guy is boring. What is he even doing if he's not drinking? I would be convinced about this. I would really be so sure that you were a sore loser if you were not drinking your mind out. At a bar, at a restaurant, and talking loud, being an embarrassment, getting complaints from the other tables, and all of this just happens slowly. So if you already now are sitting in your armchair with a nice glass of wine or whiskey, and you recognize this need, then you should take these words very seriously, because eventually it might really go downhill. I mean, we all have different trajectories when it comes to our alcoholic downfall, but I think generally alcohol will affect anyone. There's no one who is safe from alcohol. I really don't think that. Some people have more tolerance than others, but it doesn't matter if you drink 1 or 3 bottles. If 1 bottle takes you out, then it'll take you out. We always congratulate people who quit drinking, and we think that, oh, he's great. He's good now. He stopped drinking, and sobriety definitely is better than being a drunk. That's for sure. But after some time of sobriety, you realize that that the root cause of why you needed to drink has not really been addressed, and so you start compensating in other ways, or you stop enjoying life at all. Because as much as alcohol is not good, it did help me release meeting up with friends on a Friday evening after, a video is performing super well, and you just, I mean, it's magical. It's magical at times when you are talking with friends and just enjoying life. But then try to take the same scenario, and then suddenly there's no lubricant. And enjoying that moment the same way is really difficult, and that's why I think a lot of people who quit drinking, they sign out of any social gathering, because it's actually a challenge to just sit with people who are drinking wine. I've always been an extreme person. It's either or for me, so when I quit alcohol, then I quit it. And then the last couple of months I've been wanting to find a middle ground, have I come far enough to really figure out moderation? Can I have one beer or one nice glass of red wine without just diving headfirst into a sea of alcohol? Yes and no, but not really. Not really. I'm grateful that I've come to a point where I can, test it and then stop. But I think alcohol shouldn't really be that important, because what's important is that you figure out how to enjoy life without crutches. Why do you need alcohol? Why do we need anything? Like, are you telling me that our advanced body is not advanced enough to just enjoy the hell out of life without some product made by some corporation that is always increasing stakeholder value? I mean, I'm sure we can enjoy life without it. But yet the programming and the conditioning that alcohol is necessary for a good life is so imprinted in our mind that it's really hard to do without. I could talk about alcoholism for a very long time because I have quite the spreadsheet. Alcohol, as with any addiction, is you're always chasing the dragon. And I think this for me has been what's been really changing everything, that I realize that either I'm drinking and I'm high, or I'm chasing the high. And suddenly all my energy goes into alcohol. Alcohol takes over everything. I can see how every part of me just becomes a worse version. I'm not going to spend my life wasting my potential by being a drunk, because God knows that's the easy solution, and a lot of people have already done that. And nobody was on their deathbed saying that their life was simply epic as a raging alcoholic. You ruin your relationships, you ruin your own body, you ruin your dreams, you ruin everything. For what? Let's fill the commentary with love and stories about alcoholism and maybe how you got out of it, what you're still struggling with. I want this to be a community where we help each other. Oh, it's going uphill. Okay. See you guys. On kõike muud kui see, aga seega